should be able to see the countdown too.
Good day, everyone. I am Tobias Guillaume, and welcome to Tough Talk with Tobias. I
No,
have
don't he
with
sound like a show intro? Tough
Right?
talk with
With
Tobias.
Tobias.
with Tobias. I have with me today Miss Ursula Banks from Keeping It 100. And also Mr. Houston Vines, the
What's
man
going
that's the
on?
glue that puts all this stuff together with my
Right,
friends and
right.
folks underneath the group. Um, Starting off, Miss Ursula, how you been? What you been up to?
Trying to get back to where I'm, the show is every week now, I've just been out of it since like what, November, kind of. We've been kind of like, doing past shows and trying to keep
hmm
it going just because, I'm trying to get my health back together. But I'm on the right track now. So hopefully starting this week and going forward, we can start having some more new shows. So I'm
Awesome.
taking my time, but I'm getting back there.
I'm looking forward to it. I
Yes.
love our shows.
Yes. I've actually secured about two new people that want to come on the show and discuss
Okay.
um their businesses they have, and one's a cancer survivor. The other one, he has a nonprofit for children out of Durham. That's Sherrod Johnson. And so hopefully we can get that going. It may be next week 'cause I want to give them time to get themselves together. This time, I think this week we'll probably just recap 2024 again. Some stuff that we didn't talk about. But other than
Right.
that, keeping it 100's coming back. We're gonna get it together.
Coming back strong.
Awesome.
You got to get
Yes,
yourself together. Got to get your health together.
yes, definitely.
Instead of
Awesome.
keeping it 100, you just functioning at 50 right now. You're trying to get yourself together. She told me, I'm just trying to keep it together, let
I'm
alone keep
keeping
it
I'm
100.
keeping about 75, 80 right now. We'll keep it
Uh,
100 in another couple of weeks.
there you go. There you go. Hey, man.
And Mr. Houston Vines,
Yes, sir.
talk to me. How you been?
Yes, sir. All is well, man. All is well. It's 2025. We're having this show because it's going to be interesting.
Mm,
2025 has been a handful
Already.
already.
yes.
It ain't been a good solid 30 days. I feel like it's been 6 months.
Right?
Yeah. This
It's got me stressing like it's 6 months.
oh yeah.
So
Definitely.
Oh yeah. I can tell you 2025 in some cases really sucked. So many changes took place even in my own personal life, that started out really ugly since 2024.
okay.
And but stepping into 2025, it's a little bit better, but the situation that's going on with the country is really heartbreaking, and more
Yeah.
so for me because y'all know me. I put stuff out there on the table for people to talk, and I remember when um, Biden took office, well, before he even took office, when he was elect, I told people it doesn't stop here.
Nope.
Okay, you have to go to the to your local government.
hmm
1 person per household should be going to the community get together. Like the Greenville Council. 1 person per household should be going to that. I doubt people even watched it on television. They even went to the extreme. They have it on cable on television so that you can watch this. And most people don't do it. They would rather watch their programs, or they would rather go do their outside stuff thinking that everything is okay when
Right.
it's not okay. You got to look at a lot of the times the system does things in 20-year increments, so they can be 20 years ahead of you, ahead of the game.
Right.
And it can change, but it takes the people to get involved. Everybody. Back in the old days, before the invasion of Europe, the indigenous people in this country, in this hemisphere, they had a chief, but each person from each TP would go to the council meeting, with whatever problem that they had or whatever solutions that they may have, and whatever was decided in that TP, the main TP where the chief was, it would go back to that family's TP. Well, if you have a today, that's how it should be. But with the, and understand, tough talk is just what it is. So I say things and I use words because I keep it simple. When laziness steps into play, and you say, well, you know what? I'm just going to get my senator who I voted to handle this, or I'm just going to get this councilman to do whatever. You don't know what he's doing on a regular basis. It's best to have somebody that's in your home who to go out there and sit down and listen to what's going on, with ideas or suggestions to solve the issue. I used to work in Snow Hill back in the early 2000s. And I was working there as a deputy there for Greene County. And one of my jobs was to go to the council meetings that they would have.
Right.
And I would see a lot of people there. It seemed like it seemed like the way that it was packed, it would be like one person per household, it seemed. And these folks would go there and they would voice their opinion. But then you had folks that didn't. They just like, well, I'm not into politics, or I'm not into this, or God is in charge, and all that, whatever that means. The bottom line is that this is reality. You have to go. This stuff affects your family. I love to use the example that if you're doing a cookout at your house on a Sunday afternoon with your family, and the cops come by and knock on your door and says you need to stop what you're doing, and here is a ticket, and you're like, wait a minute, we're just having a cookout. There's nothing wrong. It's in my home. Yes, but the law states that you can't have a cookout on Sunday at such time in this area, in this district, or in this neighborhood. Well, I didn't know that. Nobody told me that. Ignorance of the law is no excuse.
Right.
And
because they didn't go and find out what was going on.
And find out what it was exactly. And so that's why a lot of laws are being are out here. That's why Trump is able to do what he's doing. They have completely taken over the Supreme Court. This was all planned. And the more you see it, the more I would voice it to people, nobody paid attention. And they didn't do anything. It was like, oh, they just leave it for this guy to handle it, or they pray about it. Well, prayer hasn't done anything. It hasn't done anything to solve this issue. And you can pray till the cows come home. The emperor from Star Wars is now in effect, and he is affecting not just you, but this will affect your children and your grandchildren until this thing is settled and everything. So, but I really want to know what everyone is thinking on this. Their thoughts and views. I mean, I've heard from family members and friends who gave their thoughts and opinions on it. Found out about family members who actually supported Trump, and their reasonings don't make any sense to me whatsoever. Friends that think that, let it go, and don't hate, or don't shun off a person that because of their political views. But you need to understand your political views are supposed to be moral based.
Right.
And those moral bases, those political views can get you hurt or killed or worse and everything. And I think a lot of us have forgotten that, which is why we have to go back to a time, or go back to the trenches again, if you will, And when I say go back to the trenches, I mean you have to go back to the old days, to the mattresses, basically, and say, hey, we can't live luxurious like this anymore. We need to think on another level and change this thing around. But I'm curious on you guys' views on this. Tell me what you think.
Ursula, you want to say anything first, or? And while you're doing that, I'm going to check out this guy, Mo, see if he wants to come on. Mo, if you do, make sure you make a comment so I know that you're interested in coming on the show, or were you clicking on because you were just trying to watch? Just let me know.
Okay, well, I will say this. I have seen a lot of posts from people who look like us,
Mm-hmm.
who, as the saying go, all skin folk ain't kinfolk.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And they've just trying to justify their voting for Trump. And like I said, I was at a point, at one point, I'm like, you know what? Everybody has their own views. Everybody has their own viewpoint, not necessarily, not telling everybody that what I think or believe is right.
Mm-hmm.
It's right for me.
Right.
Because I'm not going to push my agenda on anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
However, if someone is doing something and you're my friend that you know is going to negatively affect me, my children, my household, my livelihood, and you still support that person, but then want to say, how you doing? Are you good? How is that even a thing?
Right.
You can't be concerned about me, but then support the person who is harming me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even see how that's possible. And a lot of them are people that I grew up with, that I went to school with, that I've, went to church with. I mean, and so I'm trying to get to the post, because when I get to a point where I'm not in the argumentative state, I'm just disheartened
Right.
about what's said. And I'm like, okay, you got it. That's how you feel. More power to you. And I've seen these posts where some Latina girl, she was upset. She was crying because her family was getting deported.
Right.
But yet she voted for Trump. And their belief was it wasn't going to affect her. Because I guess in some of their minds, they're not black and brown people like us.
Mm-hmm.
They're quote unquote white as far as America is concerned.
Right.
No, that's not the case. And so, and people, she was on, on social media trying to garner, support or sympathy, and people were literally letting her have it. You got what you voted for. He told you what he was going to do.
Right.
He did not lie. He did not sugarcoat. He said on day one, but now you're crying and you want people to feel for you, have sympathy for you, to help you ring the alarm when the alarm was ringing 2 years ago. So, but I have gotten to the point where I try not to, because me, Houston. It's very easy to pull that trigger for me. So I try not to engage, but sometimes you see something that somebody says, this is somebody that looked like you,
Mm-hmm.
that had the same struggles as you, that grew up with you in the same, neighborhood, and same income bracket. And for them to say some of the things that they are saying is so disheartening.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, and I'm going to paraphrase because I'm trying to find the actual post, but he basically was saying that we're better off with Trump, with President Trump, than that other woman.
And I mean, a lot of people feel that way.
And I said,
I don't think. Go ahead. I'll hold my thought.
What got me was, first of all, if you can call him by his name, you can call her by her name.
True, very true.
Just being subtle disrespectful, and saying things like women shouldn't run the government, women shouldn't even be preachers, women shouldn't do this, women should. And I'm like, wait a minute. Are you serious right now? Are you really saying that women can't do the things that they've been doing for years? And they were like, yeah. So at that point, because disrespect to me it's a big thing. It's when I say it's something that just, it takes me to a different place.
Right.
So my mouth was about to get real disrespectful. So you know what I did? I just said, you know what? This is very disheartening. I'm just gonna leave it at that. Because after a while, then my mouth gonna get slick. And that's not gonna accomplish anything.
But I was about to say that.
So,
you know, I get it. But if your mouth gets slick and you just tell the person off, you're still not solving anything.
Exactly.
But sometimes you got to go, well, what is it about women that you think that they can't run this, that, and the other? Now, I'm not saying his answer going to make any sense, but there are some people in this country the exact same way that they really don't think that African Americans can really do certain jobs. The same way they thought for years that they couldn't be quarterback. They're not ready to see a woman president.
But Houston, my question is this to both you and Tobias.
Right.
To me, this is my opinion now. Women,
make sure you want to know the answer now.
Black women, have been the backbone of this country for centuries.
You say, wait a minute. You saying that Black women have been the backbone of this country for centuries?
Yeah.
Why you say that?
How you? Yeah.
Okay. Let's just go back to honestly just slavery.
Now, I'm gonna play devil's advocate with you because there are gonna be some people that go, no, I don't see it that way.
Right.
And why? Right. But this, and before I say anything, why would you say it's not either one of you?
Okay.
Playing devil's advocate, why would you say it's not?
Okay.
Well, because basically they just haven't. Black women have not been the backbone for this country and everything. And you got to look at it. The backbone, if you want to say who's the backbone, is white women for white men. You got to realize for 350 years, white men were the head honchos for this country, the head honcho. They're not the head honcho anymore. And even after they lost that position, Black women still were not the backbone for this. They were the mammies or the cooks or the clean. That doesn't make them the backbone because they were forced to do it. Now we see them running around here with bonnets on their head, wearing pajamas to Walmart.
Wait, stop. Okay, so
you gotta let them finish. You gotta let them finish.
Because right now you're
gotta let them finish.
Categorizing. No. Okay, go ahead.
No, I'm not categorizing. I'm basically telling you. I'm speaking facts.
Okay, go ahead.
Because we see this, but they have not been the backbone because this is what they have been doing. As far as they're never been equal with white men. They've never been, arm in arm with white men. White men have used them for what they needed them for, which is to soothe them when they needed it or when they wanted it, more like. But the backbone of for them was their own women. That's why you see them marrying them. They ain't marrying you guys just out of the blue like that. They'll use you, and then if they had children by you, they sell your children off. So no, they black women were never the backbone. Now that white men are not in charge of this country like we think they are, and are not the head honchos anymore, you now have the East Indians slash Arabics who are in charge. Underneath them are the Asians. And then underneath them are white folks. And underneath the white folks are the Mexicans. And then underneath the Mexicans, are dead last still are us. And the reason being is, when you look at the income that we bring in, black or women, capital wise, um, there is no way that a black woman has been or can or is the backbone, or even was in the past the backbone for this country. They were used, they were a tool, just like the black men were tools and everything. But I'm still wondering from you though. I know you asked me that question, but tell me how, or what you saw, or an example of where the black woman was the backbone for this country.
And that is what I'm talking about, because
Mhm.
when you speak about black women, you
Yeah.
take all of the negative stereotypes that black women, especially going to the bonnet. You've never seen me with the bonnet on.
No, I wasn't talking
Okay.
about you.
But,
I,
but,
I
but what
wasn't
I'm
talking
saying,
about
no,
you.
no, no, no,
I
no. We're
just
talking about
generalized.
black women, and I am one. What I'm
Yeah.
saying is, I go out in public, out of the 1,000 black women that I may pass in a day, I
Mhm.
may see one with the bonnet on. And
You
for
one.
black men to continually bring up the negative stereotypes that they see, or that they see one, and it's everybody.
Well, it's not. I don't. I didn't say I saw one. I didn't even
No,
give a.
you didn't
I
say
didn't
a
even give a
number.
number.
You just
I didn't
said
even give a
black
number. I just said
women, and you said we were mammies.
yes.
But
Yes,
that's
you were.
what
Yes,
no,
you
but look,
are.
that's what white people call them.
Well, let me point something out here. Okay, let me tell you why. I'll give you another reason why black women are not, or never have been, the backbone. Um, one, back in before the '60s, before the women's rights, you know, black women took care of their homes. They took care of their children. They took care of their husbands. It was about the home for them, and their husbands did this. It was family. But as soon as equal rights for women came about, these women, that weren't you, convinced you that y'all were, convinced you or told you that y'all were being, suffocated, that y'all were being used, and y'all fell for it. You didn't even start this on your own. Y'all didn't start suffrages. Suffraging was started by white females. It wasn't started by black females.
No, 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 no,
That
no,
that,
no.
that that's how it doesn't make you.
You're saying
Mhm.
that white women started the suffraging. That's not
Yes.
true.
Okay, who did?
They had more of a platform to express what they were feeling. Does
Right.
not mean that they started that. We have
Well, who?
been doing that long before they even had an
Well,
issue with
well give
suffraging.
me.
That's
Well,
that's
well,
to,
give me
okay.
an example. Give me an
I
Oh, wait,
example.
wait.
I
Go
We
gotta
have
ahead.
take. I
carried
gotta.
okay, we've carried the
Hold on.
struggles and
Hold
the
on a second.
triumphs. Go ahead.
Somebody's
Hold on.
talking.
Just yeah, hold on for a second. Mo, are you there?
Yeah, yeah.
Mo,
I gotta take her side though, cause. Can you hear me good?
I can hear
Yeah,
Hi,
you.
Mo.
Hello.
we
Yes.
can hear you.
Because if it wasn't for the mothers or the women, then we as men wouldn't be raised because most of the men didn't take care of the kids, and that's a part of our culture as well. Far as I guess if you category put in a category far as corporate America, I mean look at the women today, like they the chances of successful businesses are ran by women. Um, Maybe they just didn't have the because the men back then view women as property and nothing more.
Hmm.
They didn't give them an opportunity to show all the gifts and talents that they had. But I definitely feel that if it wasn't for women, I mean, men can't do it all.
Are you talking about women in general, or are you talking about black women?
How do you cater? I thought I'm talking about I'm talking about black women. I mean, black people. That's
I'm sorry, you were broken up.
I mean,
Say
Yeah, you
again.
broke up a little
they
bit.
probably just don't get the credit like black. They don't. Uh, hello.
Go ahead. We're
Yeah,
Yes,
listening.
his phone is breaking up
yeah,
a little bit.
yeah, Mo, I'm gonna bring you back in.
Oh, okay.
You're
Sorry.
breaking up a little bit, so
Okay.
stay there until you got to go. But I'm gonna bring you back in just a minute, okay? He was breaking up some, so I'm gonna break him out. So let me say this: I understand exactly where Mo's coming from. I understand where Ursula's coming from. Um, but for what I'm gonna say, this Ursula, I think women and black women has done a lot for people in general on both sides. Um, and I sound like Trump when I say that. Good people on both sides. But what
Don't
I'm
ever
trying to
say
say is,
that again.
but I know, but what I'm saying is this: black women had to go work. You know, our great grandparents or whatever had to go work in the houses and clean or do whatever the case was, and they were humble with it. They did their part. Then they would come home and do the exact same thing at home,
Mm-hmm.
clean and cook, even though the husband was just coming in. This is after slavery. Will come in, and she would have to do whatever she needed to do to try to keep the family together. A lot of men did the exact same thing. As far as saying they were the backbone, that's the only thing that I can't agree with. I can't say they were the backbone. They were definitely there to help a lot about what was going on, the men and the women both. But as far as the backbone, I can't say that. Now they might have kept some of the families together, but if you go back and look at history, that was a setup too. Because when they start doing the whole welfare thing, it wasn't for the black community; it was for white people.
Mm-hmm. I know that.
But here's the thing: they also wrote. They didn't have it written in there until after African Americans started getting it. As far as I know, I'll do the research. But the husband, you can't be married. You can't have a man in the house to keep the house stable. But you can continue to get your welfare check as long as you don't get married, which is breaking up the family, which is causing a lot of more chaos because now the
Now you
nuclear
talked
family
about,
is no longer together.
but see that has nothing to do, which that is totally true. It has nothing to
Right.
do
Mhm.
with what I consider being the backbone, especially of black families. And I know
Now,
men might want to say,
that's different. That's
I
different.
know men might want to say that the black man is the backbone of the. No, they're not, because who has struggled more in this country than anybody else? Like Tobias just said it. Who's last on the totem pole of everything, even though they contribute just as much as everybody else?
Black men.
No, black women.
Okay,
You just said it.
that took I didn't. I didn't say
You
that.
said
What I
it's white men, then white women,
mm-hmm.
then you said Asian. You just went down the list and you
Indian,
said
right?
at the very bottom.
Mm-hmm.
But we have struggled way more than anybody else.
Yeah, and the thing about it is why did we have to, and do we still have to? And the answer to that is no. Sometimes you have to, in order to get from the kitchen to your sofa, or from the sofa to your kitchen to make a sandwich, you have to have it. You have to go through effort, and effort is usually hard sometimes. Like when you had to change the station back today. How many people start? Oh man, I can't find a remote control. And I got to get up and walk all the way over here to this television to change the station, and they gotta look and do it. Well, that's effort and everything. You don't want to do it. You don't like it, yes, but in order for you to watch your program, you're gonna have to do it. And my thing is that we did not have to suffer like we did. We've gone. It's been now over just in 100 years from the 1920s to now. We're still going through headache. Why? Who's at fault? Both male and female, black male and black female, are the ones that are at fault. We caused this because no one is listening to the other. No one is training their children. They think they're listening to other people and watching what other people have, and then trying to do that for their children. And now their children not getting the good lesson, getting the lesson that they should be getting. So when you said the backbone, I'm like, are you talking about the backbone of the black family or the backbone of America? Because it wasn't the backbone of America. And if and maybe Big Mama was the
The
backbone,
backbone of the black family.
right?
Yeah, yeah. I agree
Back
with you
then,
on that.
right? But those days are gone, and they didn't even have to go away, you know. But here we are. When you give, I still say
And
when
why do you think
you
we went away? Why do you feel that it's gone away?
why do I feel that is gone away? Because of the individual thought. The individual makes it go away. You know, you have people that weren't that aren't taught anything, but they have common sense. And they realize that if I do this and I do this based off of what I'm seeing here, you know, I can make a good family. I can build the family and everything if I get with people that are like-minded with me and move on to them, instead of dealing with family members or people that I've known or grew up with that are not, that does not have my best interests at heart. Hell, they don't even have their own best interests at heart. You know, you got guys, you have guys like black guys that probably work a job. There'll probably be about 10 of them. And out of the 10, you may have one person that sees the mess that's going on at the job and he says something about it. But the other 9 don't say anything. They keep quiet. They'll probably talk with him on the sneak tip behind the manager's back and say, well, you know, you're right, man. Something needs to be done. Something needs to be said. And then they get to the meeting and the guy says, yeah, we all need to speak up. Yeah, you go ahead and start, bro. So bro gets up there and he starts saying what needs to be said. The better things. The 9 are sitting back and they quiet and they just grinning and giggling. And then that one dude gets fired. Why? Because he has no backing. And then he's got to go home and explain to his wife why he got fired. Now, do you think that she's going to support him on that? No. She wants to know, well, why you done messed up a good job, how you ran your mouth and everything, when she should have
See,
been
and
supporting him on that.
You tell me Houston's very good. Now I'm gonna bring you into this, Houston. You say that I say me a lot, which is the only thing I can compare to. Tell me what woman, because I can only speak for myself, would never. How many women do you know that's gonna say that, especially if they know the situation the same way their husband did, to get mad at him for standing up for what's right?
More than 100.
Out of how many?
Because if you think about it, if you look at it, if you think about it right now, tell me this. Say, for example, your husband, okay, was that guy, that one guy that spoke out about something was going wrong at the job, and he comes back home because he got fired from the job, and he's like, hey, I got fired from the job, but I couldn't deal with this crap no more, and everything. Honestly, what would you say and what would you think about him or to him if he came back?
You're asking me my opinion or what I would do.
Yes. Right.
Okay. Let's be clear. I have been in that situation already.
Okay.
And when he came home and said, look, I've been dealing with this stuff at work. You already know, came to a head today. I got fired. You can call him right now. I'm like, okay, babe, look, don't worry about it. We're going to figure it out. Good for you for standing up for yourself. So that means until you find another job, we're going to switch some stuff around. We're going to cut out some things so that what I got covers us. We got something in the savings, it covers us. Because I'm a firm believer. He used to work for National Action Network. He was the vice president of the chapter for North Carolina. So he did believe in doing the right thing and setting up for what was right. I don't know a woman in my family offhand, of my age, that's been married or single, that has a man who would not support him for standing up for something that he believed in
And losing his job and their way
and
of life.
I don't know a woman in my family that would be upset about that.
That's you and your family and everything. And I've never, I don't know what you would do. I have seen it, countless times. In my family, as close as local as me.
But
And
they're more concerned about your paycheck than you then.
well, like I said, that's my point and everything. It was all about the paycheck. But I have seen this happen numerous times, where since what, the 70s, where the woman was not the backbone of the young women anyway, were not the backbone of the family. And now when you look at a lot of these families that were supposed to be, that should be nuclear, but they aren't, you see where the children are heading and what they're doing. You see where the country is. Somebody goofed and somebody messed up. And I wish everybody was like your family, that could deal with that, where they said, well, what, why don't we all get together and start our own thing, start our own business? Why don't we just leave the country and everything? Why don't we go do something else and build our own? Not everybody has done what you're saying, that you and your family did. So that's why I guess I was still looking for your reasoning as to how women, black women anyway, were the backbone for this country. That's a bold statement. Now, I would say that would happen in certain families, black families, but not for the country. They were, black women were not the backbone for this country.
Yeah, I would say for the community and the black
Yeah.
family, yes. I think that might have been why we were just looking at it a little strange, because we was like, wait, now I don't know about for the country.
So
Yeah.
okay, black women were at the forefront. They were fighting for racial and gender equality.
Mm-hmm.
It was their leadership in the civil rights movement. You're talking about, especially enslaved black women, forced to do backbreaking labor. Now, wait a minute. Not only did they work in the field,
Mm-hmm.
but like Houston said earlier, they worked in the field.
Mhm.
They came home. They worked in the house, and in the master's house. They worked at their own house, taking care of their children.
Mm-hmm.
Black women literally raised the South. Every child born on that plantation, white and black, were raised by that black woman.
Man, that doesn't make them the backbone. That's forced.
Okay,
That's forced
you're
labor.
taking that alone,
No,
but
that's forced labor, because then you can also say that the
it
Irish
don't matter
women.
if it was forced or not. They did it.
Well, you also got to look at it like this: Irish women were the women that were in the same position as black women were prior to the institution of slavery. Before they even started doing the transatlantic slave trade, you had them doing it. Irish women were the ones that were raising the children and were being the suckling for the British mothers. They had the child, but these women were the ones that were made to do the media work until they decided, hey, let's get these folks over here to do it, and then everything changed. So, but it doesn't make them the backbone or the ones that
Okay,
raised the
they
South.
Well, let me do this, because
All
we're
right.
gonna get stuck on semantics. We're gonna get stuck on the backbone. The backbone.
okay.
Yeah.
That's
How
how you said
can
it. Go
how
ahead.
can we how can it, looking at 2025?
Mm-hmm.
How can we move forward from here?
That's
Because
a real good question.
we see
Well, the
that the
first
things that are going on right now is going to be a handful. But what are you about to say,
Yeah.
Earth?
the first thing that I think just black people in general. I'm not talking about. I can't speak for all other races. I can't speak for all other women. I can speak for black women, the black family. the very first thing we need to do is women need to stop pitting men against each other. Men need to stop pitting women against each other. Every platform, and I know you've heard about the recent breakup of the podcast, Tonight's Conversation.
Right.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it was, don't get me wrong. I think the panel, they gave great advice.
Right.
Great relationship advice. But when you're not authentic to who you are,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to give you advice from a woman's perspective if that's not what I live, because eventually I'm going to show my true colors. You know what I'm saying?
But what if your true colors isn't helping you move forward?
But see, now, then you should be giving advice anyway.
Yeah, I'm just saying in general, because I hear a lot of people, men and women both, they were just like, I'm just going to be who I am. I'm just going to be who I am.
Well, and see,
But,
and that's the problem. You got these women and men who say, I'm just going to be who I am, but you're toxic.
Right.
You know you're toxic.
Right.
Okay? People who are toxic, you can't tell me that you don't know. You know, you just want to find somebody weak-minded enough to deal with your BS.
I'm going to agree. I think there are some people
I agree with that.
Yeah. I think there are some people that are toxic and know they're toxic.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, they're trying to find people that can deal with their BS. Sometimes I think there are some people that are toxic that just don't know how to change and don't care to change.
Don't care to change.
Don't care to change.
And those are the people that got a foothold on social media who are spewing their foolishness, and they got young girls, not like, which me and my daughter talk. We have an open relationship where we talk about everything. And where you don't go ahead and listen to, oh, well, if he ain't making six figures, if he's not this, if he's not that, then I ain't going, I'm not going to deal with him. You be who you want him to be.
Or my favorite, I'm going on a journey, I'm doing this journey, and I got to do things myself or my own way. And the thing about it is that you're at this point, you're selfish. And then when you're hearing more women saying, yes, I'm selfish, I want to be selfish and everything, and they end up with cats and dogs and everything. This is destroying.
They end up with what?
Cats and dogs. And
that's
what's
their reality then.
Right. And they are destroying. This is why we're becoming extinct. Okay. Most people aren't looking at this, but we are becoming extinct. I think on your show, Ursula, some time ago, I had mentioned about the marriage percentage in our country is incredibly low, unbelievably low. And it's not just low here, it's worldwide low, which is why and marriage is important for income, for a higher income, and our income is pathetically low. I wrote a paper on this back in 06 and everything about the genders and the race and where we sat at. And back then it was low, and we didn't even have a lot of internet back then. I had to go to the library to find this stuff. I had to go and dig and find it. But now it's just incredibly true. And then when you get people like today, someone told me, how can you find this information? How would you know? I mean, you can't go to, most people don't record how many people they have in their house or whatnot. I says, well, that's easy. Everybody has a social security number and everything, I mean, you can find out through social security number. That's when we're on that's how we even on the stock market as cattle. And you can find out how how this is working, but it's low, and the only way that we're going to fix this is to do things that we don't want to do. It's gonna suck, but it needs to be done. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Houston.
No.
Hey, can I say something, Houston?
Sure.
Mhm.
Go ahead, Mo.
I don't know. I don't know y'all like that, but I know Houston though. But it just sound like it it just sound like you just category you put in the category just based on money, on income. Who wants to be married with someone that you're not happy? Like
Very true.
uh
Very true.
marriage. I'm not married, but marriage should be a choice of two people compromising. That two opposite people that compromise. Yeah, you don't like everything the person do, but doesn't mean you got to dread to come home.
Well,
And
let
then
me ask you a question, Mo.
right,
How old are you, Mo?
36.
You're 36. Are you
Yeah,
married?
no, I'm not.
Kids?
Yep, I got a little girl.
You got a little girl.
Yep,
Okay. And did you grow up in a home where you had mom and dad and they raised you?
nope. My mom raised me.
Your mama raised you. How'd you feel about that growing up?
We didn't know nothing. We didn't know nothing better until we got older.
Exactly.
What do you mean older when? What age did
So
you feel?
so so mom, grandma, she took care of us. We didn't know anything about single parent homes until we maybe got into middle school,
Mm-hmm.
high school,
Yep.
Because
because
that's all you knew.
Exactly.
everything was taken care of through mama. So I'm not throwing a stone at what you're saying, but everybody got a point of view. But it just
Yep.
seemed like you keep going back to the income thing, like yeah, we women, back in the day in the industrial industry, the men went to work. They were the breadwinners. Now today, yes, we do act silly sometime on TV and stuff like that, but women got more education than men nowadays. They got more degrees. They got more degrees than the thermometer. And
Exactly.
and and
But
uh
now
and
here's
I
the
ain't trying.
catch with that. Here's the catch with that. And I think they should get them. And I think it's great. But the research have showed too, a lot of people with these degrees aren't making any more money than someone without that degree.
And
Mhm.
that's another system in itself. They
Right.
Yeah.
And
told
it's
us
not good that that's the
they
But
case.
So
I think what
they
Mo is saying is, and Tobias, you said this before. You're
mhm.
saying marriage is a business.
Yes.
Okay. I get what you're saying, but I also understand what Mo was talking about because that's just like saying, okay, well, Ursula, this guy, he's, I'm 54. Okay, he's 60.
Hmm.
He's established, he's looking for a wife,
Mm-hmm.
and I should be attracted to that and say, okay, well, he can provide for me, he can provide for my children, he can
Mm-hmm.
do this, he can do that, all financially. Will be,
Mm-hmm.
I can cook and clean, I take care of the house. If he has children, it fits like a puzzle. I get what you're saying, but like Mo said, if that's not somebody that I'm attracted to, or
Mm-hmm.
somebody that I want to literally come home and can't wait to see,
Mm-hmm.
what kind of marriage is that?
So I'm gonna stop you right
Well,
there.
if go ahead, go
I'm
ahead.
gonna stop you right there. You're
Mhm.
absolutely right. That is exactly what Disney has showed us. That's exactly what we've grown up on. A lot of our
No, 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 no,
no
no,
Thank
no.
you.
let
I'm
me
not
finish.
asking
Thank
for
you.
no, no. I never said a fairy tale.
No. I'm
I
not
never
saying that.
said a fairy tale.
I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that a lot of times we see this and we think that this is what marriage is. You know better than that. You've gone through it. You've gone through it, the good times and the bad times. You try to make it work. It didn't work. I've done the same thing. We both been there and done that.
Okay, wait. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
But
I've done the same. No, I agree. I did the same thing. Go ahead.
right. So and I think we all see that.
Hmm.
And we all realize that that's what everybody wants. But if it worked like that, why is the people that we see that they fall madly in love, they get married, and over 65% of the people that we know are divorced?
Okay, so let me correct you on one thing. First
Mm-hmm.
of all, I don't base anything that I do when it comes to marriage and relationships off Disney.
Now, when
However,
I say Disney, you know exactly what I mean, though. I
I know
mean,
what you're talking about.
Disney has told
But let
us,
me.
and I use that as an example, that we think we're supposed to see somebody from across the room, and it's just something about them. And we have a conversation. It's like, oh my gosh, and we can talk on the phone all night long. We're all groomed to think this is exactly how it's supposed to go.
Yeah.
But there are plenty of marriages out here. I'm not saying arranged marriages, but they kind of come to an agreement or understanding that, you know what, he has this, I've got that. We might not have a whole lot, but we can come together and we're going to work through this thing, through life together.
Yes.
Okay.
That's what we're supposed to be doing. But I think a lot of times we don't do that. It's that who make our toes curl up.
Yep.
That feeling that we get from it.
Yep.
Oh
It's
my
emotional.
God, he is 6'3".
Right, so
He's 6'4".
let me tell you what I base my relationships on.
But let's do this. Let's do this.
Okay, go ahead.
And the reason why I'm saying this is because, you know, I said it. You have gone through it. You did well. It just didn't work. I think the same thing on my end. We tried it. It didn't work. But we know there's a lot of people out there, especially now, that they're based off superficial things. If he doesn't make this amount of money, if she ain't shaped like this, you know, we're basing it off stuff that it doesn't make a marriage last longer, because they don't get down to the basics of what they really both want. And then let's figure out how to make this thing work. Now, there's some people that are together, they weren't attracted to each other like that. But over time, they went, you know what? This man is good to me. Something about this man, I have fallen in love with him.
Yeah.
And over time, those relationships are the ones that last longer to me, because there's a lot of people that they meet, they have a great time together for 6 months, then they get married, and then they can't stand each other for the next year and a half, and then they might get a divorce or they stay together, but they didn't have a common goal how to grow what they're doing.
Okay, so I grew up in a 2-parent household, and just like Mo, I didn't know anything other than that. Now, don't get me wrong, a lot of my family members weren't married.
Right.
Like the aunts and all that, you know, some of the aunts weren't married. However, because I grew up with, especially on my dad's side, where almost everybody was married, that's what I kind of thought. And it didn't dawn on me that it was single parent households, because I just didn't think that way when I was at my grandmama's house. We were all there. All the cousins were there. It was, mostly the single moms dropped the kids off while they went to work and things like that. So, but I grew up with a 2-parent household where my dad and my mom both worked.
Right.
And my dad, he's told his story several times, Vietnam vet. And he was like, I'm just blessed that your mom stayed with me through all of my foolishness, that she saw past all the foolishness. And now he treats her like he said he should have in the very beginning.
Okay. I got it.
So I've seen the ups, the downs, the bad, the worst. I mean, I've seen it all. But they're together. They're happier than ever. They're each other's best friend.
But you said something.
What?
How can you even get there when people aren't even lasting a year or two now? People ain't even putting up with mess with each other.
But like you said earlier, you said it don't work that way. But let me tell you, my dad saw my mom before he left to go to Vietnam. He went up to her and he said, "You're going to be my wife." Didn't see him till he got back. Right? Didn't really know him like that. He came back, found her, and most people like, "Oh yeah, that's like a little fairy tale." Yeah, it was fairy tale, but it was also the drama throughout, the beginning of that relationship. You know, but I don't mind the adversity. I don't mind the bad times, as long as we both have a common goal. I love you, you love me, and we're trying to build this family together.
Okay.
Now, me personally, I could have been married a long time ago, remarried, if that's what I was looking for.
Right.
But I'm not going to marry you based on your financial status.
Well, I mean,
but you're willing to marry someone off of attraction. Like you're attracting.
I've been attracted to plenty of men.
Ursula, I'm going off of what you and Mo are saying. Y'all both brought up attraction,
You went off a portion of what I just said.
I'm saying y'all bringing up attraction, and the thing about it was in the beginning when I said the financial part, which is the important part here. It is the important part because your attraction can be either toxic or non-toxic. You can be attracted to someone who's just as toxic as you are and everything. But the point of it is that it's not putting food on the table. It's not putting education in your family. You both admitted to the fact that y'all didn't know what was going on based on what y'all were taught in your homes, which means that you wasn't highly educated like those who were highly educated. They knew things that you didn't know. Why is that? Because
What are you
y'all were
talking about?
focused.
Wait, back up because I'm confused now about the
You
whole.
you said okay. Listen to what I'm saying. You and Mo both said that y'all grew up in a household, okay, where that was all you knew, okay? But there were other households that knew more than you did, that
Like what?
flourished.
Like what?
The fact that the fact that you need money in order to you need to
How was
know
that not?
economics.
Wait, how was that not
But you keep
what we
interrupting,
said?
Ursula. Ursula, you keep interrupting. Just listen to what I'm saying. Economics, science, math, true social skills, psychology, and the fact that you don't need to just be attracted to this individual because of their looks or because I just saw this individual. You said this. I didn't. I'm
Wait a minute,
saying
I
that
never said any of that. I
you
never said
told
any of
you
what you just said.
you
Nothing.
just told the story. You just told the story about how your father saw your mama before he went to Vietnam, and then he came back, and
But
then you
what does
go
that have
into
to do with social, economic, math, science? What does that have to do with any of what I just said? I was
y'all
talking
didn't.
about the relationship that they had. It had nothing to do with my
Well,
education.
see. Here's the thing. It's all relative. Okay, so
How?
you have to know all this stuff. You have to grow into that before you digress. Nobody's progressed. That's my point, because you're still looking at things in an aesthetic manner. Look at it from another point of view. Okay. Okay. I'm an individual. I want to get with people that are like minded and everything because I want to know more. I'm not getting that from home because all I learned from home is all I learned from home. I grew up on a dirt road, and all I know
What
is
do you? Okay.
listen. I'm talking
Okay. Go ahead.
about.
Keep going because I'm thoroughly confused. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm talking about me now. That way it make it easier.
Yeah.
I grew up on a dirt road, and all we knew was collard greens and cornbread and everything. We didn't know hardly anything, but the individual decided, let me learn more. Let me search for more. Let me try this and move forward. It takes the individual to branch out instead of just saying, "Oh, I like this girl or this guy because, well, I'm attracted to him. We can get married and make it work." It's not going to work like that all the time. And if it does happen, like you said, it's a fairy tale. I know of a story where two people liked each other, but their families hated each other. And what ended up happening is both families died. The two kids, they died, family members died, and
You
then
talking about
everything
Romeo and
died.
Juliet?
Right.
What's
But
that have
now
to do? Okay. So can I ask you a question
I'm
real quick because
confused, y'all.
I'm confused. I'm
I'm
really confused
confused.
at how when I say that's what I know or was is all I know, I wasn't saying all I knew. I was saying that I thought that people had two-parent households and the middle income family, and they went on vacation together and they did these other things. I was talking about the upbringing. I'm not talking about education wise. So it's not
Well,
all I
and that
knew.
your upbringing isn't that education?
Come on, Mark. Okay, okay. You give me a headache because you. I'm not talking when I'm talking about education. I'm talking about the education system. That's what I'm talking about. When you're talking about education, if you're talking about educated as far as the upbringing, yes, I was taught Black history at home.
Let's go back to the beginning. How do you
Okay.
fix it? How do you fix it? Because you've gone way off. You even gone way
You
off
went
from what
off.
Mo was saying. So go back to the beginning. How do you fix it?
I'm trying to figure out. I thought we were talking about politics in
That's what I
I
thought.
did
2025.
too.
And we ended up on
No, I mean, but
relationships.
we always keep going back to relationship stuff, y'all. I want to know
Yeah.
how
Well,
we gonna fix
and the
this
thing,
stuff with Trump.
politics, going back to
So,
what they're doing right now, they have a whole list
mhm,
of companies
mhm.
that roll back their DEI.
Right, right.
Mhm.
Okay. And
for our listeners, tell them what DEI stands for.
was it diversity,
Inclusion,
inclusion, and
diversity, equity, and inclusion.
no, diversity, equality, and inclusion, or something like that. That's
Equity, or is it?
Equity.
Diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Right.
Okay. Basically, the civil rights of politics, pretty much, or the job market. And I think that when they did that, was it Yvette Nicole Brown or whatever her name is? And people
Yeah,
like they would start boycotting certain companies, which I agree with. I mean, people were talking about boycotting these companies, and I totally agree with that. But she brought up a good point that there are a lot of Black businesses of Black owners with products on Amazon.
Okay.
That if you stop buying from them, that you then turn around and take down Black businesses, and that's not our goal.
Right. I'm glad you said that.
Like you're talking about Tubi. Tubi has a lot of Black movies, and that if you're not watching them, those directors and producers don't have a platform other than Tubi that's taking their content.
Right. Right.
So it's like
but here's the catch. I think I don't really know about the whole boycott thing, because I think what happens is, like you said, they were talking to some Black businesses that are in Target in these different places, and people were making the comment, you need to pull your stuff out. I will call Target and tell them to load all my stuff up. They can't do that. They've got a contract.
Exactly. And
they bought
that's their
thousands of
livelihood.
products. Right. That's their livelihood. Two, to put it in Target and have it into 25 stores, they had to go borrow money to get the stuff produced to put in the store. So if she's got pots and pans,
got to pay back.
She's got $500,000 worth of merchandise sitting on the shelves, and we want her to go pull it off. So because of what Target said they're gonna do. Now, here's my thing. I think I know the end game, but I could be wrong. You know, when they say that they're gonna roll it back, I don't know if that means that they're gonna take it off the shelves automatically. They're just saying they're not gonna use that as a criteria. But now here's the thing. At the end of the day, they trying to make money. They trying to make money. If the Black products are in the store and people are buying them up, they're gonna keep them in the store. But now, if they sit down and show, okay, look, we've done this equity and inclusion thing, and we're trying to make it work. We were trying to make it work, but we see after 2 years of doing this, we ain't selling the stuff. It's only 0.5% of what I make our money from. We need this space to make more money on something else. But we've been pigeonholed to keep this stuff in the store because we want to include everybody, which is great. I think we need to do that. We need to go out and buy more of the stuff ourselves, or find a way to produce it, or have instead of Amazon, we got anime. You know, AuntMamaLisha.com. I don't know what it is, where we can go buy stuff, but we can't just go buy it during February or Black History Month. We have to make it a regular habit of doing it. What we have a bad habit of, I think we have a bad habit in the Black community of doing something, is that we'll support something, go strong with it for about 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then we want to go right back to life as normal.
Okay, so remember,
and that's the thing that I think we've got to change.
Remember when Trump first ran for office, and I think it was, they were trying that. Well, I don't know if it was Trump running for office, but it was trying to say that they needed to up the minimum wage for some of these companies. You know, they were paying these employees. They think they needed to raise the minimum wage. And Papa John's said, well, I would have to charge at least $1 or $2 more for each pizza in order to be able to give them that particular salary.
Right.
And the world was like, well, most of the supporters was like, okay, I'll pay extra $2 if that means that this person's going to get, be able to get health care and be able to make a decent living.
Mm-hmm.
He said, even though the consensus was, okay, we get it and, we agree, he was like, no.
Right. Right.
At that point, I stopped supporting Papa John's.
I get it.
And now it's been like 6-7 years now. I think in that 6-7 years, I think this house has maybe had a Papa John's pizza maybe twice.
And I get it. I get it.
But our Black people, which is why, and I said this earlier, the reason why Harriet Tubman carried a gun is because you have people like Snoop, Nelly, Soulja Boy, Rick Ross that will do the total opposite of what they say they stand for in order to make $1.
But isn't that the majority of us anyway? I mean, you think about it, do we have to follow these rules? Do we have to do these things? Can't we say enough's enough? I'm not shopping at Walmart no more. Matter of fact, let's pack up and leave and go somewhere else and start all over again. I mean, can't we do that?
Well, we can do that, but now you got to realize the same way things are like the way all these executive decisions are made.
Mm-hmm.
You can go move to Venezuela and you might have up the same thing.
Right, but
if you go somewhere else to another country, you might have the same thing going on because they're going to have their issues as well. But where the problem comes in is we don't work together to work as a group in the Black community. We just don't work together. We've got to figure that out and stop. I've said this before to you guys, and stop announcing everything we're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And just do it. If we say we're not going to shop there, we're going to figure out something else. Okay, I know we've got some Black web designers. We've got some Black IT people that we need to build something that, hey, we can start. We're going to find 1 or 2 hair products that we know work, and we're going to support them until they become, $1 billion company. But hey, make sure you take some of this money and build some schools or something else. We've got to figure out how to keep circulating our money. We don't do that. We got to go buy some Nikes. I'm stereotyping.
Yeah.
We got to go buy the Nikes. We got to go buy the bags. We got to go buy the jewelry, and we got to look a certain way. We're not going to go out here and drive around in the Honda Accord that might be a 2020 and have a decent house until we can stack some money so we can retire or start a business.
Right.
We got to figure out how to do both. We got to do it all. And I get it at some point, because if you struggle your whole life and you finally get to the point that you got a good job, you want a nice car, you want a nice house, and you want to look like everything is good. And if you can put a little bit of money in the bank, we good.
Mm-hmm.
That's we can't see beyond today. But it's funny how, to me, someone from Mexico can come over here and they start, and they're gonna be they might go to, like my son was telling me about when he took the class in heating and air, and he said there was a lot of other people, a lot of foreigners that was in his class. And he said as soon as they finished, they had somebody they were going to go work for, and in 6 months they had their own heating and air business, trying to do the same thing. We would rather work for somebody for 10 or 15 years before we start our own. We're going to call somebody else.
Wrong.
Right. And we'll call somebody else to come fix the heating and air because we don't trust the person that do it. We don't trust this guy Ice over this. We just don't.
And
now,
we have.
Let me say this real quick. Now, I'm not saying it's just us either, because we have done it over and over and over again, and they will come in and destroy it. They will come in and figure out how to destroy it. We didn't bring the crack cocaine into the hood.
That part.
We didn't have stuff set up to where, and don't get me wrong, I think an answer that Tobias would probably have, well, we shouldn't have been taking it. We shouldn't have been doing them drugs. that thing was so addictive that some people were doing it as recreation, because you got Molly over here that she's doing cocaine on the weekend, but she fine by Monday morning. But you go hit that cheap crack on the weekend and you stuck for 2 years.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
And
it's
Molly
different.
wasn't dealing with all of the adversity that they were dealing with. So a lot of people did it to forget their issues, not knowing that it was going to cause a bigger issue.
Right. And Molly did it too, to forget her issues. Her issues might have been different.
So
but she did it on the weekend, but she will be able to get her head clear by Sunday afternoon to go to work on Monday. In the Black community, we just don't have that opportunity, because as soon as something's wrong, you're going to get fired. If you start being late, you're going to be gone. I think that's what's going on with this diversity thing now, is I think there's going to be a lot of people that are going to lose their jobs, and they can't go back now and go, oh, no, they were discriminating. He took that off the table too. He got some cases that he put a pause on.
Yep.
Now, if someone doesn't hire you and they got 200 other people, and now the 201 is still another white person, you're not going to be able to complain about, like, wait a minute now, this ain't supposed to be this way. You don't have any way to rectify that now, because I think we were doing it because there's some people that just not comfortable with other people. The community I live in and where I work, there's a lot of Indians, that live here. Great people. I have no issue with them.
Right.
My thing is this: a lot of people, if things were stuck the way they used to be, there's a lot of companies that wouldn't hire me or them because they're not comfortable with them. So,
I think a lot of times, and again, this is our own, we're our own worst enemy.
Yeah.
Because I've been looking for, and I had to do a little bit of research, because when you go to a hair store, they're almost all foreigners.
Right.
So I went to a black owned store, and the prices were through the roof.
Right.
I'm like, well, why are your prices so daggone high?
You do know why the prices are through the roof?
Because they charge, if a foreigner asks for this money, they get it at a certain price.
Right.
If I'm an owner and I go my price to get that same item is a lot more. So of course I have to up my prices to make a profit.
Right.
And so what I had to do was I had to say, you know what? Let me just bite the bullet and support this business, even though it's more. So I had to, if the shampoo and the conditioner, all that stuff was so high, or if I wanted a wig and it was off the charts, okay, so I need to use a little bit more product, just a little bit of product, and make, instead of me buying it every month, now I'm buying it every 2 months, every month and a half, because I have to stretch it longer, so I'm not paying all that money, over and over again.
I get it. I think that we're going to go. I think what we're going to end up going through in the next 3 to 6 months, 6 months to a year, is going to be extraordinary. I think it's going to blow our socks off. The things that we're going to have to go through. I have never seen a president or anybody make this many drastic changes in a matter of 7 days. It's only been 7 to 10 days that he's been in office. And I am floored about some of this stuff that he's got going on.
You know what? I truly believe come midterm elections that people are going to now see, okay, wait a minute. You're doing a little bit too much.
Right.
The people that, even though it's working against them, the ones that he voted for, they're like, well, I still want you in office, but midterm election, I guarantee the House and the Senate go back to the Democrats, just so there's kind of a break. Somebody that can put a break on something, and a lot of people don't understand. I was talking to my son today, and I'm like, you and your friends are now definitely above, voting age.
Right.
I said, so you need to talk to your friends. You having all these DJ parties or whatever. You need to talk to A&T, go out and have do a party where everybody's getting registered, DJ, because the midterm election, I believe is going to be the only catalyst to stop the foolishness that he's going to be doing.
Look, I think you're right. What I'm confused at is just how, with the stroke of a pen, he's able to cut money off so quickly. So I'm not sure what he's going to do when it comes to the funding for predominantly Black schools.
Mm-hmm.
But
now, didn't he give? He said he gave more money to HBCUs, which was a lie, than Biden did. That was a lie. He didn't. The money. So
let's just say he did. Let's just say he did. I think it was a setup. I think it's a setup. I think it was.
He didn't.
He knows how to play
because
the game.
He said it was for HBCUs, but if you looked at it, it went to all colleges, even though they were included, and he made it look like it was just the HBCUs. But if you look at the wording, it included almost all the colleges.
Right.
So he didn't do all this for HBCUs.
Right.
But I'm just, I mean, that's just my opinion.
So what starting with what should be the first thing that we do as people to deal with this? As
they
people
definitely mobilize for the midterm elections right now.
How would you do that in your family? You started with your son, telling them they were voting age, but how would you start it with the whole family, with your family?
Well, me and my family, we talk about politics all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And our thing is there are a lot of people in my family who don't vote. And so each time we try to incorporate those people into the conversation. And a lot of times, you know, some people just don't want to listen to politics.
Right.
They don't care.
Right.
You know, they don't think it affects them. They don't believe in voting. That I can't make anybody go vote. Right. But those who are willing to listen, and I don't try to talk above anybody's head because I'm not politically savvy. You know what I'm saying? I can't quote all the different articles and all this other stuff, but I get the gist of politics. And so we have conversations to the point where we make it personal.
Mm-hmm.
Christmas, especially holidays, any holiday or Sunday dinners at our house, definitely incorporate politics. And that's whoever's there.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about it in church. We talk about it, you know, at events. We talk about it wherever we can. We bring up politics all the time.
I knew this family that whenever they had dinner, they would sit down and discuss politics to the point where they actually kept books, law books in the home, and they would actually bring some. If somebody was, you know, having this conversation like we're having, the dad would be like, "Well, prove it. Go get the book." And they would go get the book and they would bring it and they would open it up and they would go through it and everything. And I'm wondering, do you agree that that is what should be done as far as politics and when it comes to the household, to your family? Should it go that far?
Everybody doesn't have the books for politics, but everybody has the internet.
Should they? Is my question. Should it go that far?
I think it's to the point that it has to go that far now.
Yeah, I think
that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, I think it needs to go as far as it needs to get people to understand what we're facing.
Yeah, you know what? I think.
So let me give you an example. My daughter wanted a puppy, right? She kept asking for, she begged and pleaded for a puppy. And I'm like, look, we travel too much. We're hardly ever home, you know, but I promise, you know, I don't really want to go on vacation. I'd rather have a puppy. And you know how kids are. They're going to say whatever they can at that point to convince you that this is the best thing to do. And I'm like, no. I don't want another dog. I said, you have to have pet insurance. You can't have them outside anymore like we did back in the country. You can't do that. You have to, it's just too much of responsibility. And her and my son could not understand what I was saying about it being too much money until I said, okay, well, if we get a puppy, then there's no more games. Because, you know, back then games were like $60, $70 to buy for their big. There's no more games. There's no more Nikes or, you know, Converse or any of them expensive shoes. There's no more of those shoes. There's no more of these your friends coming over and, you know, we're going on vacation and you taking a friend with you. There's no more of all that extra stuff. But why? But, you know, no, it took me to take away something that they truly enjoyed for them to say, okay, well, maybe we don't need a puppy.
Well, I think this is the puppy right now. With Trump. Some people had to go through this. I think we're gonna have to really go through some stuff for us to realize, okay, we can't take this for granted anymore. I don't think a lot of us took it for granted. I think a lot of people that voted for him really didn't see all this coming.
No,
I don't think they saw all this.
Even though he told them.
Yeah.
And even though a lot of us told them that you know, this is what this is, you know, this is what is coming should you do this. No, but what if it did? Let's just throw it out there. What if it did? And a lot would be like, well, they always go back to religion. Well, God is in charge and he's going to make everything all right. And I'm like, okay, you can't do that. You need to look at it from a reality standpoint. I'm saying if you do this, this is what's going to happen. It's simple philosophy. If this, then that, and everything. And this is why I say, yeah, we're all gonna. A lot of us gonna get him. Gonna get him for this. But I think that what you were saying and what I was asking, yeah, you should take it as far as possible in your home. There are things that I think now that should be taken away out of home. I never bought my kids video games and stuff like that. They're a hindrance. I never bought them expensive shoes and expensive stuff. They wanted, one of them wanted a dog. And I was like, well, okay, a dog versus, um, um, you know, do you understand not the money thing of it, but do you understand that you have to take care of this dog? Do you understand that you have to feed it? Do you understand you have to clean it? You have to clean the outside. You have to follow the rules and regulations that are within the system that says this is what you need to do when it comes to taking care of a dog.
Right.
All of a sudden they're looking at you in a different manner. You wouldn't have even had the same thing about shoes and stuff. It's like, what do you mean all this? I'm serious. A dog comes in here, it doesn't wipe its own butt when it comes in, after it does its business outside. It doesn't wipe off its paws before it comes into your house. So you know you got junk in the house from that. Are you going to take care of that before the dog comes into the house? What if it decides to be as sentient as it is and decides to attack somebody in the house? Are you willing to deal with the consequences of what's going to happen to that dog and you? There's a lot of other stuff there. It's not just the money, but as far as the politics of is concerned, we need to take it very far. We need to bring books to the dinner table. We need to pull out those iPhones and look up the articles and the amendments and everything that comes with it. I mean, think about it. When we got our orders to go from one place to the next, sometimes things had to be done, and they had to put an amendment to those orders before you got to where you were going. So you had to read all the paperwork that was there, because if you didn't, and something got missed, who's in trouble?
I got you.
You are.
I got you.
So we have to be aware. We have to be on point with everything now. And I mean very, very on point, where you have to consistently sit down with your children. Malcolm X? No, Malcolm X said that when his children came home, when your children come home, you have to debrief them when they come home from school,
right?
Because of the pins that are placed in their heads.
Right.
Who does that? Hardly anybody does that. anymore. They
Well,
they immediately stick them in front of a video game.
well, let's do
Um,
this. Let's do this. If we can, whether it's tomorrow night or another night this week, we definitely need to pick this subject back up, because I think it's something we need to start talking about more often, and figure out where to go from here, because it's really interesting to me. I've got something, I don't know if you guys have it. It's a program called, it's a simple program called News. What is it? News Break.
Mm-hmm.
It's called News Break.
Yep.
mhm.
And it'll let you know, especially like in your area, what's going on in the news. But they also let you know what's going on when something major happens. When I get that ding, like a text message about news break now, and I'm doing this, like, what has Trump done now?
Yeah, I
What's
know, right? It's
it's,
almost
it's, so
it sends your blood pressure up a little bit.
yeah.
Uh,
And it's not because I didn't vote for him. It's because I really don't think that people really saw that he was going to go this far. I think people, a lot of this is a control thing.
Oh yeah.
A lot of this,
He's a
there are
narcissist.
people. Well, one is that, but one is there's a lot of people in this country that really felt some kind of way. I didn't realize there were 17 million illegal aliens, illegal immigrants in this country. I didn't know it was that many. I knew that we had a lot. So what people are afraid of, and they're spreading this in some white communities, that if we don't stop this now, in 10 years, there'll be so many that our vote won't count.
They'll be the minority, which it's already
the
been
biggest
proven.
That's the biggest fear. And
Mm-hmm.
it would be just like if Africa, you
mhm.
know, and a lot of white people kept going to Africa, and they got to the point that it's going 20 million a year, 20 million, 20 million, 20 million. In 15, 20 years, they might be like, well, doggone, we don't control anything. Like China. China has moved over to Africa and was supposed to have been helping them build up the country, but they knew they were giving them so much money they wouldn't be able to pay it back. And then they owned the land.
That's what's happened here. That's what when you're saying that you didn't know there was so many illegal. It doesn't even matter whether they're illegal or not. It's who has the money. And if you look at it, right, in Pitt County and Greene County alone, the majority of the land that's out there is owned by the Chinese. I went out there to Greene County one day around the old Edwards plantation, and I was the guy that was out there that was plowing the land on his tractor. I was asking him, I said, well, does the Edwards still own this property, the Roundtrees and the Edwards out there in Roundtree?
Right.
And he said, no, 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 no. He said, this is owned by Chinese now.
See?
My brother, the property over there in Greenville that sits
Mhm,
between ECU Health Center
mhm.
and the university is worth a heck of a lot of money now. Little
Right,
small plots over there that is worth
right.
a heck of a lot of money because where it sits on a hill and everything,
Mhm,
and it's always been prime real estate. Well, in a matter of 6 months, it went from 2 digits
mhm.
to now it's up at 3 digits in a matter of 6 months, and he keeps getting calls like twice every 2 weeks,
Mhm.
from people saying, hey, when your mother dies,
Yeah,
would you sell
yeah,
this to us?
right.
So it's past that. It's past it. It's
So
nothing.
let's
The
figure out
only
how to
thing that
bring
we
that
can
up.
do, the only thing that we can do right now, okay, is start with ourselves and our family and explode.
That's true.
Because what we're talking is implosion. We
Right,
need to talk explosion again. And
right.
my suggestion to you guys and anybody that is watching, the first two books that you should go and get are by Shahrazad Ali.
Mhm.
They're simple, they're clear, there's no complexity to it at all. The Black Man's Guide to Understanding the Black Woman and the Black Woman's Guide to Understanding the Black Man. You
Put that in
need
the
to read
comments.
those.
Put
Yeah,
those
you
in the
need to read
comments.
those books because it's not about just a little small smidgen that was placed in there that was a headache, but there's a bigger picture to the whole deal. And this
Right.
book should be taught and not just read by us as older adults and everything, but it needs to be required reading in your home to your children as if it was the Bible.
Sounds good. That's a good spot right there. Keep it right there. So look, I'm gonna end this, and let's make sure that we reach out to each other, whether it's on Messenger a little bit later, and figure out when we can do another show. If we do another one tomorrow, let's see if we can do it within about an hour time frame, and then we have to figure out how to keep having these kind of shows and conversations.
Gotcha.
Right. Are we still live?
Yep.
Remember, folks, this is Tough Talk. Okay. So remember, everything here is about tough talking, putting it out there. You know, it doesn't matter what it is. Everybody has a say in everything, no matter what it is, because it can be helpful no matter what and everything. Mo, you still there?
No, he's gone.
He's
Oh,
gone.
okay.
He's gone.
Well, I want to thank Mo for coming. I want to thank Ursula Banks for Miss Ursula for coming up here and doing the do, keeping it 100 the way we like it. And of course, Mr. Houston Vines, thank you again for putting all this together. You are the glue to this thing and everything. So for everybody that that tunes in or will be watching, I hope you join us again. Thank you.
All right. I got to do the theme song. Tough Talk with Tobias.
Yeah.